Welcome to the Illinois Education Association Candidate Recommendation Meeting. Our union cares about elections because politicians make decisions that affect our members and the students we care for and teach. When a candidate is recommended through this process, it means he or she has demonstrated alignment to our organizational beliefs, goals, and values. And it allows the candidate to receive our resources, financial and otherwise. Because elections influence the policy and funding decisions that will impact us and our students, it's imperative we use our collective voice to help shape those policies and decisions. We do that through IPACE, the Illinois Political Action Committee for Education. IPACE consists of 3 entities. The local PACE committee, which is chaired by local presidents. They are responsible for recommendations in local school board races and referendum elections. The Legislative District Committee, which consists of all local presidents or designees in a specific legislative area. They are responsible for the district recommendations for their legislative district. And then there's the State IPACE Executive Committee, which consists of the IEA officers and 13 IEA board members. They forward all statewide office holder recommendations, such as for governor or U.S. senator, to the IEA Board of Directors, concur with legislative recommendations, and determine the IPACE budget, rules, and contribution levels. So how does the recommendation process work? Well, if a candidate is not an incumbent, the candidate must both respond to an IPACE questionnaire and be interviewed by the recommendation committee to be considered for an IEA recommendation. But if a candidate is an incumbent, one of 3 things can happen. If the candidate is a performing incumbent with an A rating from IPACE, the candidate is then invited to attend a conversation and the recommendation is continued. If the candidate is a performing incumbent with a B rating from IPACE, the candidate is invited for an interview. The local recommendation committee meets to interview the incumbent and all other candidates and then holds a vote. Keep in mind, a vote to remove a recommendation for a candidate with a B rating must be approved with 75% of the majority on the same day as the interviews. And if the candidate is an incumbent with a C grade or below from IPACE, the local recommendation committee meets to interview all the candidates, including the incumbent, and then holds a vote. The committee may choose to recommend a candidate or not. In all 3 cases, the IPACE Executive Committee will then hold a vote to concur or not with those decisions. You might wonder how candidates earn their grades. We'll talk more about that in a minute, but it's based on how they vote on education and other issues related to our students. So how does the recommendation meeting work? It's fairly simple. IPACE must be able to determine whether the candidate we recommend is acceptable and electable. To determine whether an incumbent is acceptable to our membership, we have to look at his or her record, or the report card grades mentioned above. How do they vote on IEA bills, our legislative priorities, bills that affect education and our students? That's how candidates earn their grades. In addition, IEA locals, IEA government relations staff, grassroots political activists, and others provide feedback on their relationships with and accessibility to the incumbent. It's the concept of performance over promise. For all candidates, answers to the IPACE questionnaire are taken into consideration. The questionnaire is developed by the IPACE Executive Committee with input from members. Finally, the candidate's relationship and attitude with the IEA will help determine whether they are acceptable. IPACE members will have the opportunity to ask the candidate questions during the recommendation meeting that pertains to your particular area of membership, pre-K through 12, certified, higher ed, and support personnel. The meeting is meant to be interactive, so please be ready to participate. As mentioned, the candidate also must be electable. Can the candidate win? Past election results, analyses of party and independent voter strength, professional and informal polls help to determine if the candidate is a potential winner. When it's determined whether the candidate is acceptable and electable, it comes down to a vote. All IEA members attending the meeting must be IPACE contributors. A chairperson will be chosen and will preside over the meeting. The local IPACE committee will discuss whether the candidate is acceptable and electable. The chairperson will open the floor for a motion to recommend, not recommend, to remove a current recommendation, or for no motion to be made at all. IPACE has a system known as weighted voting. Every IEA local or chapter has at least one weighted vote. Locals have an additional vote for every 10 IPACE contributing members in a school within a legislative district during the previous year. An IEA IPACE contributing local association president or their designee from their local or chapter may cast votes on behalf of their local association. Also, an IEA IPACE contributing member that works or whose primary retired chapter location is in the legislative district may cast an individual vote, but no proxy votes are allowed. A majority vote rules, and either an IEA government relations staff person or an IPACE executive committee member will record motions and vote tallies and notify the IPACE executive committee of the local IPACE decision. Our union does not concede the issue of public education to any one person or any one political party. Public education is not a partisan issue. It matters to all of us. We believe all students should have access to an equitable, high-quality public education. IEA is bipartisan in the candidates we recommend for office because our membership is bipartisan. Voting for public education means voting for candidates who will support our students, our public schools, and our union.